Do you want me to ask them?
No, it's okay. I can still read them.
Okay.
I like being in control of the questions. That way I can control if there's any I don't want to answer.
Okay.
No, I'm ready for this.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are sitting down to answer some of your questions. When we got engaged, I got quite a few questions coming into my DMs just asking a number of things, so we thought that I'd do an engagement Q&A to try and answer some of them, but we're gonna quick fire some of them because there were quite a few.
There are a lot, and some of them have quite long stories attached, which we might have to cut short a little bit.
Yeah, we don't want to ramble and bore you too much, but let's get to all of the interesting facts. Are you ready?
First question, how did we meet?
Short answer, Loughborough University. We both went to Loughborough University. But the actual meeting, we had a few chance encounters. I actually saw Ollie before he even knew me on a boat party. And then it just so happened that I went into a girl's house and he went into a boy's house, and a few of the people in each of our houses knew each other. So the two houses decided to mix the party to kind of like mix up the male and female ratio of Loughborough a little bit. And we ended up being set up, didn't we?
Yeah, match made. What was our first date? So our first dinner date was at a restaurant in Loughborough called Brown's. It was kind of like the fancy posh place, though it wasn't that fancy or posh, but it was for Loughborough.
Yeah.
And then our first day date was your birthday, and we'd never done sort of like a planned thing during the day before.
No.
And we went to a National Trust and ended up taking out a couple's year-long National Trust membership.
It was so cute. They asked us as soon as we went in there, oh, do you want a joint membership? And I was like,
I just said yes straight away.
and yeah, Ollie just said yes, so it was really cute, very committed right from the beginning, but we stayed together and we loved that National Trust membership.
How long have you been together?
7 years. 7 years this month,
Coming up, end of this month, 7 years, yeah.
24th of January.
Had you spoken often of marriage?
Oh, this one's always hard. I forget we've been together 7 years, it's quite a long time now since when we first talked about things. But we were very committed right from the word go. And me personally, I don't know if you were the same, but whenever I dated somebody, I had some like quite long relationships, and that's because when I was in a relationship, I was in it, you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't just like dating for the sake of it or being with somebody for the sake of it. So as soon as we were like committed, we were committed.
Yeah, I think it came up relatively early in the wider audience kind of.
Yeah, so we met at university, but Ollie did a master's degree, so I left university a year before him. He stayed at university, so at that point, that was probably the first point that we were like, okay.
Maybe not talking about marriage, but we're definitely talking about commitment and whether
Yeah.
this was going to go. At least we were going to try and make it go distance, because we'd have to do a little bit of long distance.
Yeah.
It was just going to be a little bit messy for a year or two.
But we never really had like are we getting married? It just like feels very natural for us. It's never been like one point. It's just like we kind of always knew.
Yeah. How did you know you were each other's one?
Oh, I feel like this is very similar to the one before. I don't feel like there was one particular point, but there were never any games with Ollie and I. We were always together, like through that 7 years, we've never split up. We've always been quite solid and strong and a team. So again, it was like basically from
It was
the
just quite
beginning.
simple. Everything, I think, for us fitted together. Like our personalities, our lifestyles,
Morals, just what we believe.
Family background, what we wanted for a family in the future.
Yeah.
So everything just kind of fitted into place.
It was easy.
It was easy. Laura, did you have a clue an engagement ring was coming?
Oh, again, this is because we've been together 7 years, I definitely expected that we were going to get engaged at some point in that time. And because we were saying earlier, like everything that we've believed in, all our morals, what we want in life was all the same. We both had a very similar timeline. And though there wasn't like a set, we're getting engaged this year or this month or now, it was like we're kind of making that progression. Basically, we wanted to get the house, a little bit more comfortable to live in, and then we were ready to like do the next steps in our life. So I knew in that respect, but I had no idea it was going to be December 2020.
No, especially not after the year we had with COVID.
No.
Did you start suspecting of Ollie's intentions as the getaway was going on?
Ooh, not necessarily, no. A few reasons. It was obviously a surprise trip away for me, but the way that Ollie worded it was very clever. It wasn't very elaborate. He wasn't like, surprise, we're going away. He just said, you really need a break. I booked a few days away, we're going to Cornwall.
We had said for a little while that year that we were going to try and pull back from DIY towards the end of the year because we needed some time off. So it kind of played into that quite well, and just that we were winding down for the end of the year. And
yeah, it was quite like a natural surprise. Like, I suppose in a way you wouldn't think of that as a surprise, but I didn't know it was happening.
And you didn't know what was going to happen because obviously the cards told you each day. Well, they didn't
Yeah.
really tell you anything because even those
No,
things
the
didn't
cards
give you anything.
said
clues.
nothing. And actually, a few people asked about the cards and did I know with those, which no, not at all, because cards have been a very big thing in our relationship. And cards for no reason at all. Ollie used to get me very cute ones. I did textiles at university. You get like, I'm so into you, with like a sewing machine. So we've got like hundreds of cards. It's very much a thing that we just generally do. But I suppose that the time when, actually, the first time that I thought was in the footage you may see, we were like running down to a beach much earlier on in the trip, and we were on this just, it was the most insane morning, beautiful beach, and Ollie kept saying, oh my god, this is insane, this is just like so beautiful.
The lighting was perfect.
Yeah.
The beach was empty. There was no one around.
We were already having just like such a great trip, and we were taking photos like we usually do. He put the camera up on the rock and we were taking a few, and then the timer was going on one of them and he was down like fiddling with his trousers, and I was thinking, time is really going. Like usually Ollie's the one that's quite like, up, you know, come on Laura, smile, get ready for the camera. Whereas he was down like basically on one knee, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the first time ever in our relationship when I thought it could be it.
I didn't even think about that. And
No, and he stood back up, we took the photo, and I was like, oh no, okay. Which is odd, because in 7 years I've never ever like had any kind of inkling. And then on the day, I wasn't suspecting at all until we started walking over to the rock, and Ollie just totally froze.
clammed up, couldn't talk, couldn't speak.
I was chatting away and he wasn't saying anything.
I was just
so-
a mess.
Yeah, but I think at that point most people know like that
Yeah.
it's happening, or at least I hope that it would happen. And that's the thing, like in long-term relationships, you know, there's always a chance that you think, well, maybe, but yeah, it was so cute.
How did you expect me to propose?
Ooh. In all honesty, I didn't have any expectations. I suppose I expected him to ask my dad to talk to my parents, which he did do. It was very sweet. I kind of did expect him to get down on one knee. I feel like that's a very momentous thing. And without ever telling him, I did hope that he would say something on the day, which, again, you probably don't see from the clips, but Ollie talked for quite a while. It was very
I was
sweet.
down there for a good minute.
It was
Or
lovely.
5.
Yeah, we actually have, which is something that I don't know if any of you guys are sat in the back there and thinking about how you might plan an engagement. Ollie actually had a mic. He'd bought his own mic and set up a little mic, so we can hear everything that was being said.
It's both really nice to be able to listen back to, but also
Hilarious.
hilarious because I'm just, like I said before, like I was so stiff and awkward beforehand because I was so nervous.
Yeah.
And then
I'm like,
you broke down crying almost 2 seconds in,
yeah.
and then afterwards, it's after I've asked and we're kind of finished, we're just saying I love you, like again and again and again.
Yeah,
It's
it's
quite
funny
funny.
though. It's
Yeah,
lovely
it's
to
sweet.
have, and only you and I will ever hear it, but
Yeah.
it's nice.
How did you know it was the right time? So because that's more for me. I knew that we both wanted to be in our own home, which means we have to wait till we bought the home. We also wanted it to be comfortable and semi-done, and I feel like now, like, we've got a few nice rooms. Our bedroom on the top floor is almost done.
Yeah.
Not quite. It was supposed to, if it wasn't for this year, then it would have been done.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really.
There's never a right time. I
No.
think personally there's not necessarily one point in time that is perfect. And I think an engagement is always perfect because of what it is rather than
Yeah.
when it is. We, like obviously it sounds very structured, but I think we're obviously living in a time right now that's very different, but also like properties are so expensive and weddings are very expensive, and though that commitment is very important, and we wanted to make sure that we just like got a few things under our belt.
Yeah, we really wanted a relatively short engagement, so
Yes, that was another thing.
being able to know that we could get engaged and then quite quickly plan and hopefully execute the wedding
Yeah.
in quite a short time frame. Had you spoken about marriage beforehand? Was it always going to be Ollie asking?
Yes.
Yes. Due to our friend at uni setting us up, I actually didn't make any of the first moves.
No.
I got told that Laura liked me, and I didn't message her.
He didn't message, he didn't ask me on a date, he literally just sat on the information.
Which ended up with our mutual friend then texting me off Laura's phone to like initiate everything.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. So yes, I was always going to be the one asking because you
Time
never...
to make a move.
I think on two parts, partly from my history and partly because we're both kind of traditional.
Yeah, we are quite traditional.
So it was always going to be me. Were you nervous she could say no? No, definitely not. How long did I plan the trip in advance? So the planning of beginning of last year, 2020, we had thought we were going to go on a holiday because we haven't been on holiday in ages. We thought that might be to Italy, and I was planning to work the proposal into that. Obviously COVID happened, so holiday plans got scrapped. I decided I would move the proposal to Scotland. On the verge of booking that when Scotland started to go south, so scrapped that plan, moved it to Cornwall, booked it for Cornwall in November. Then we went into lockdown again, so those plans got scrapped, and I managed to move every single booking to the date, apart from one, back exactly 1 month. One hotel I had to change slightly, and they were amazing to help me do that. So it got replanned so many times, and something that had quite a long lead time ended up getting reorganised in a very short amount of time. And actually I had to reorganise one of the hotels 24 hours in advance because the weather changed and the day that I was going to propose changed. So everyone was super great in being really flexible with that.
What about the actual proposal day?
Oh, so proposal day. So that revolved...
Because that obviously changed a lot, didn't it? Because you were waiting for the weather.
Yeah, so I was waiting for the weather, and I had one spot in mind, which...
So you chose the location.
So I chose the location
and you
first.
worked the trip around that.
So we had I arranged for a photographer to be there, sort of hidden at the time of asking. So we were able to capture that, and we could just enjoy our moment together, and we still get a record of it. So that's the footage you see at the end of the engagement vlog. And that was by a really lovely lady called Sarah from Lyra and Moth.
She was great, and actually I think the location that you ended up going with was the best for that, because it was basically a lighthouse, and the lighthouse had a bit of a wall, like a brick wall going around it, and she was right up by the brick wall.
So you couldn't see her?
Yeah, I'll try and put like maybe a photo on screen, but we kind of like parked over here and Ollie walked me in over here, and obviously you're looking at the view rather than looking back at the brick wall where she was stood, so I had absolutely no idea she was there until afterwards.
And it sounds ridiculous because you were like, well, she was relatively close to you, so how didn't you see her? But I think then in that walk up to the cliff, I think you knew what was coming.
Well, she moved closer as you were like down on your knee, and obviously I wasn't looking anywhere else.
I was going to say, by the time we were walking to the cliff, I think you had cottoned on to what was about to happen. I think we were both then so nervous and full
I remember
of adrenaline.
thinking, because everybody says this, I remember, keep on going through in my head, I'm going to remember what he says. I had no idea he had a mic on either, I couldn't see it. I remember I kept being like, I'm going to remember this, I'm going to remember this, I'm going to remember this. I remember
nothing.
Nothing.
No. And you've got blinkers on, you're literally just focused on your other person. How long before deciding to ask to actually asking? That's kind of a bit of a weird one, because I'd say deciding to ask, 5 or 6 years. I think after that point I had decided that Laura was the one for me. And then more recently, I guess, as we'll probably come on to I think in a second about the ring, that kind of came up maybe a year and a half ago. And then beginning of 2020, I think I decided, like, this is the year. And then I asked your parents in the end of September. And then obviously asked the question on 12th of December, 2020. Does Ollie have any strong preferences, or just happy to go with whatever?
I've been shocked at this. I thought that he'd get bored of it very quickly, but so far he hasn't. He's quite strong in not like having his own way or what he wants, but being involved.
I want to know all of the decisions that are being made. What will be your wedding style? Our wedding style. Our.
I think that's going to be very dependent on the venue. I always think the weddings, as far as like inspiration that I've seen that I've liked the most, the style very much goes with the venue and the location and things like that. But
I think that also ties into our just personal style as well. The venues that we're liking are almost like just a upscaled version of our normal style.
yeah, but kind of think probably pastel colours, quite romantic. We're going to have it quite intimate. We love like lovely flickering candles, loads of flowers. I'm so excited about the flowers. Probably quite classic and traditional.
Yep.
But without too many frills and stuff, I think.
Yeah. Wedding must-haves that you know you want. Time of year, decor, food.
So I think we know that we would like a summer wedding. However, one thing with our wedding that we said we're going to be is very open-minded. So if it just happens to be that a winter wedding is going to be the right time for us, we're just going to go for it. But we're hoping for summer. Food? Ooh, I don't know. We have, again, no preference on food, really.
No preference in terms of like wedding food, but then in terms of our preferences for personal food, our favourites are always sort of pasta, pizza, Italian food.
I'd love to have a pizza as like a dinner with the dance thing going on.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be amazing. Anything nice. And I don't think we know much else other than that, do we? Must have, like, we obviously want close family and friends there. But that's it, really.
Yeah. Where would you like to get married? Somewhere hot or close to home?
This has been a tricky one for us because we've actually already gone through our guest list, and half of our guest list is coming from abroad. So initially we thought, well, maybe we'll get married abroad because it doesn't really matter where we base ourselves.
No, if half the people are flying in, then it's not so difficult to fly into France or Italy as it is to fly into England.
But then there were two reasons why we kind of went against that. So the first one of that was, well, most of those people who are coming from abroad actually have family in the UK. With everything that's been going on at the moment, it would probably be really lovely that they could come back and also visit other members of family, make it into a little bit of a trip. But number two as well, we definitely know and have started to see that we enjoy being very involved. And with stuff that's going on at the moment, I know a lot of people aren't flying to their venues, they're not actually being able to see it before booking it, and I just don't think that's something that kind of like sits right with us.
What is your ideal number of guests?
So we've kind of already decided on an intimate wedding, though having looked at it, apparently we're thinking of 20, 30, 40 guests. Probably 40 is our happy place, but if we have to scale it back, then we will. And I think that very much suits our personalities anyway. As you said, we're shy. I thought walking down the aisle in front of hundreds of people terrifies me. Saying my vows in front of loads of people who are like distant cousins doesn't really sit well with me either. We're quite lucky that our families aren't huge, so we feel like it's quite reasonable for us to have 40. So yeah.
Relatively small.
Yeah.
Any idea where you'll get a wedding dress from? Any idea what silhouette wedding dress you see yourself in?
I'm so excited for wedding dress shopping. That's probably the highlight for me. Dresses are just my thing and I can't wait to try them on. Obviously, at the moment, I can't try any of them on. So when those shops open, I will be there. I will be knocking on the door, ready to come in. I'll probably take you along. But I have no idea where I'm going to go as of yet. I'll probably go quite locally, and also I presume I'll go out to London with Mum a few times, maybe some friends, have a little look at dresses. Silhouette, no idea. I'm excited to try them all on. I like a lot of different style of dresses, but I know for certain that it will be quite feminine, quite romantic, and probably semi-classic traditional.
Means nothing to me. Do you know what year you want to get married in? Have you set a date? That we're kind of very open with right now. If we find the right venue and if everything falls into place quite quickly, we'd like to do it this year. But as you said, we're keeping things very open because with everything...
This will be our hardest thing. For our wedding, we're very chilled about a lot of things. I think we can make decisions quite quickly on most of it. But with the restrictions and knowing... Our biggest fear, I think, is that we wait until 2022 and the situation isn't that different.
Or because of everybody going to 2022, it makes it impossible to book what we want.
It'll be very busy. So, yeah, we just kind of have to weigh up all of those things and decide what's best. But it's definitely going to be the most challenging thing.
Yeah, definitely. First look. No.
Oh, and though... From reading, we're trying to read up loads on weddings at the moment because we are clueless. A lot of people do have the first look so that they can take photos beforehand. So actually I say no, but we have considered having a later in the day wedding, like having ceremony more towards the evening and having an evening meal when it's a little bit darker.
Yeah.
If we did that, then I don't know, you can't fit in then any day photos, can you?
No, so you might have to bring the first look before the wedding so that you can then have some photos
get in
taken
some
there.
photos. I think that's why some people do it. So yeah, maybe
We'll have to
actually.
see. So the ring.
The ring.
Show us the ring.
I don't know, because we're on a different camera here and we've got no flip screen, so I can't actually see what you're seeing right now.
We'll overlay
so
some footage.
yeah, I'll have to do one where you can see it.
How did you pick the ring? So, how did you pick? How did you choose? Did you go ring shopping? Did Ollie have help?
So many ring questions.
right.
There are an abundance of ring questions.
Yes. Did we go ring shopping together? Did Ollie have help? So we didn't go ring shopping together, but a couple of years ago we were walking through Westfield in London, and we walked past a couple of jewellery shops, and we didn't have a lot to do that day.
No.
And I kind of just, wedding and engagements weren't on the cards for us at that point because we hadn't had the house, but I thought, it might be coming in a couple of years, so I should get my research in. So I kind of suggested, we haven't got anything to do, why don't we just pop in and try some things on? So we tried a couple of things on there, and then we also went over to Burlington Arcade, more in central London, and we went through a load of great little jewellery shops down there and tried on a whole host of stuff. Some of it was very not engagement ring and not what I was thinking and probably not what you were thinking, but it was just fun to try some stuff on.
It was really fun, and I think because it wasn't done in a way of we're choosing it, like the pressure's on, which one do you like, it wasn't anything like that at all.
No.
It was kind of just like a fun trip. I think Ollie probably got a bit of a gauge as to what I did and didn't like without it being like we didn't try on anything like this ring. But for example, I really wanted it gold.
Yeah.
I don't like points. That's something that I figured out. Like I
No
don't
sharp
like
edges.
any sharp edges. I don't particularly like anything fussy, like little things like that. You
No
got to know.
Colour, so no sort of sapphires or rubies or anything
Yeah,
like
just
that.
diamond. Yeah, so I think you got a sense of what I liked without having any pressure or without with me feeling any pressure either.
How did I pick the ring? How did I choose the ring? Did Ollie have help? Did Ollie know what style of ring you like and ring details? So the ring wasn't picked. I designed it with the help of a designer, and all of that was kind of dictated by the fact that the two side stones were my mum's, and one of them was the original stone that my dad proposed to her with, and then at a later date she had them turned into earrings. So he then bought her another matching stone, and they got set into just stud earrings, and she wore those basically every day. So those were side stones. So I had those to work with, and then I sorted out the centre stone. So it was always going to be a 3-stone ring because you could have had the diamond earrings, but you swap and change your earrings quite a lot, and I didn't like so much the idea of her having the stones and not having them on all the time.
Yeah.
So an engagement ring means that you always have it. It's always going to be part of your life and you always are wearing it basically. So it had to be a 3-stone design. And then in terms of the actual style of the ring, it was basically as simple and classic as I could make it, with a yellow band and white prongs. Really sentimental ring, and I think after it was made and everything, it just made perfect sense. I don't think now having it that it could have ever been anything different really. So.
It just feels and is so perfect, and maybe everybody thinks that about their engagement ring, but yeah, absolutely adore it and gonna cherish it with my life and look after it as best I can.
Yeah, and even after all of that sort of shopping up in London and getting people to to size you and figure out what the size was, because I did that at the same time, still got the size wrong.
It was huge.
It was massive. It was almost falling off your hand.
Better to have it big than small though, so.
Yes, if it can't go on the finger when you ask, then that would be devastating. Final question. The house. Will getting married potentially delay plans for the house?
Yes and no.
Yeah, it's not something that we're planning on saying, right, this year we're getting married, we're not doing any housework.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as we're quickly discovering, weddings can cost quite a lot of money, and the house takes quite a lot of money, so we...
And time. Like the house already, if I was to say how much the house consumed my time, obviously luckily it has become part of my job, but I research things and look for things in the evenings, at the weekends, like we're constantly doing
And then
it.
we're working on it. Yeah, I don't think it comes across in other videos how much time we put into just
All the behind the scenes stuff.
No.
We've kind of already discussed though that we're probably going to plough ahead as much as we possibly can. It will be very dependent on what year our wedding is. If we have it this year, we'll probably pull back a little bit. If it's not until next year, we're just going to go ahead kind of as we would, because financially we weren't thinking of putting that much into the house this year anyway.
No.
And then we've decided on things like the master bedroom. We might just go ahead with it, but keep out some of the things that don't necessarily need to be done. For example, our windows, we've got the original sash windows. We are planning on changing them throughout the house for the wooden, modern, double glazed sash windows.
Yeah, very sympathetic, but warm and not drafty because it is cold.
Yeah, but maybe we will go ahead with the master bedroom, but leave those to use them at a later date. So anything that can be left, but we can still move forward, is the aim, I think.
Yeah, getting as much work done, but without spending all of our money, kind of leaving the more expensive things till later on.
Yeah, we won't stop with our house though, because it's our thing, isn't it?
She'll get itchy feet and I'll come home one day and the master bedroom will just be torn to pieces.
Yeah, we're still very excited about the house, as much as we were excited about getting married, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's it.
that is everything. I hope that answered a few questions. I hope it was helpful. Any wedding tips, let us know below, because we do need the help. We literally are Googling right now all the wedding terms because we have no idea what they mean.
There's so much coming up in that book and we're just like, well, do I hire this person or is this person supposed to be our friend? Or
Yeah,
very confusing.
we're very clueless. We've not been to many weddings, as you might be able to tell. A lot of our friends are still single, so we're going to have to figure this out on by ourselves. But yeah, please do help. We're going to be taking you along, so hopefully it'll be quite an exciting time.
An educational journey, for sure.
See you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.